Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about what is a short story. So, have you ever finished a short story, stared at the last line, and gone, "Excuse me? That was 10 pages. Why do I feel emotionally wrecked? I just finished a 700-page epic, and I felt nothing. I'm empty on the inside." Or the opposite. "Wait, that's it? Did my book just rage quit on me?" If that sounds familiar, this video is for you. Today we're going to be talking about what a short story actually is, and just as important, what it absolutely is not, all from a reader's point of view. And by the end, you'll be able to know how to tell if something actually works as a short story, know what to expect from different kinds of short stories, and know how to squeeze the maximum enjoyment out of them. And you'll have 10 spoiler-free recommendations you can read in one sitting tonight if you so choose. All the book links I'll be mentioning will be in the description with a preference for bookshop.org so we can support indie bookstores. Because we want to support indie bookstores because that's the right thing to do. While we also emotionally devastate ourselves, which is the wrong thing to do, but we do it anyway. So we're going to go over a quick definition first, and then we're going to dive into the recommendations. So let me crank up that screen share because I think visual impact will be important here. So we're going to share the screen. This is how we screen share, and we're waiting for it to load, and I think we are there. So think of a short story as a single dramatic moment in book form. A short story is usually a brief work of prose fiction that you can read in one sitting. You can read on your lunch break. I'll read just one more page before bed. Lies. It focuses on one main situation or event with a small cast of characters built to deliver one strong emotional punch or idea, clean and direct. So I think that's one of its stronger suits. It can't really go beyond that. So a very small cast of characters, one element of an event or an idea or concept. Because if it goes bigger with a large cast of characters or tries to go over one or more concepts, you're usually going to increase the page length and you're going to bump into novella territory. And I think that's its strong suit is it's really short and concise. I mean, short story, right? Haha. Good way to go, Johnny. You're spelling out the obvious. Um, and I don't know. You can get that emotional roller coaster or that thought provoking idea in one sitting, generally, maybe two sittings if you're short on time. So, if a novel is an entire Netflix season, a short story is that one episode everyone screams about on Twitter. Yay, Twitter. You'll still get plot, characters, and theme, just with all the fluff sliced off. No chapter-long descriptions of a doorknob. I'm very, very sorry, doorknob enthusiast. Short stories are not meant for you. So we're gonna go into some of our. Well, no, we're gonna go into what a short story metric is kind of page count and or words. So these are all rough ballpark numbers. There's always a split debate on it's this many, no, it's this many, no, it's this many. But for under 1,000 words, that's usually considered flash fiction. It's basically the expressor's shot of reading. 7,000 words is your classic short story lane. 7,500 to 20,000 is what's considered a novelette. Anything above that, we're in novella. Anything above a novella, which we've done a video on before, is a novel. On the page, we're usually talking about 5 to 30 pages, and it's about. This is going to really depend on your reading speed, the format of the book, the size of the font, but typically 15 to 45 minutes of reading. And also, how often you check your phone. Stop checking your phone while you're reading. I'm looking at you. You've been called out. So if your to be read pile looks like a health hazard, a short story is a low commitment side quest that will still give you that full narrative satisfaction. It's meant to really be read in one sitting. Now you'll think about it for weeks, months, maybe even years on end, but the time commitment and the experience is short but meaningful. Now we're gonna go into the examples. We're gonna have 10 examples, and the links will be down in the description. And we're gonna share and look at the bookshop.org links, which will be the recommendations of the books. So let me reshare. Sharing the screen. Yes, we are. All right. First up, yep, screen share is working. We have the lottery, and particularly the 75th edition. Um, it's based in a small town on a sunny day, an annual tradition. Everyone's super chill about it, which is exactly why it feels so wrong as you keep reading. This is one of the more famous short stories in American literature because of how hard it turns on you in just a few pages. Again, the 75th anniversary edition is the one to pick up. And again, down below in the descriptions, you shall find the link. Next up, we're going to go for the Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. And that is you're stuck inside the head of someone insisting they're totally, completely sane. I need you to cover your ears because I am going to give a very, very, very small spoiler. Ears covered? They're not. Okay, we're good. So it is short, intense, and perfect when you want to feel creeped out in under 15 minutes. The best version to read is The Telltale Heart and Other Stories, which is basically Poe's greatest hits collection, and it's linked down below. Next on up, we're going to The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry, and we're going to go for the illustrated edition, and it's illustrated by P.J. Lynch. And it's very short, very sweet, very, I'm not crying, you're crying. Get away from me. A young couple, no money, big hearts, and one memorable Christmas. It's sentimental in a way that actually works, which is rare and magical. The illustrated one is really gorgeous for reading or gifting. Gift of the Magi, gifting. See what I did there? The link will be down in the description. Haha. Next up, we're gonna go for The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell, and that is a classic. Hunter becomes the hunted, and it's on an island. Fancy weirdo. Things escalate. It reads like an old school pulp thriller, super fast, super fun, super, oh, we are not safe here. And the best version to read is a dedicated The Most Dangerous Game booklet. It's nice, slim edition. And again, link down in the description. Going on over, we have The Necklace and Other Short Stories is the recommended book by Guy de Maupassant. And I've seen and read a couple things from this person, but I can never pronounce their name to save my life. I don't think they're alive, and I don't think their estate's going to sue me, so moving on. Maybe they will sue me, and this is the last video you'll hear about me. Basically, it's a woman who wants a more glamorous life, a borrowed necklace, and choice that echoes for years. It's drama, social commentary, and oh no, honey, no, energy all in one go. It's a solid collection built around this one, and again, the link is down in the description. Next on up, we got the Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, and this one is a woman is told to rest in an upstairs room. There's some, well, very interesting wallpaper. The more time she spends there, the stranger things feel. It works as a gothic horror and is a sharp look at mental health and control. Basically, it's the standalone, the Yellow Wallpaper edition is the best one to pick up. Next on up, A Good Man is Hard to Find, and Other Stories by Flannery O'Connor, and an introduction in this version by Lauren Groff. And it's basically a family road trip, talkative grandmother, bad decisions. The vibes go from annoying relatives to, oh, we are in danger, without ever losing the dark humor. It's a Southern Gothic, morally messy, and extremely discussable. Next up, we're going to go for A Rose for Emily with William Faulkner. Now, notice this one does not even mention it, not even in the story section, other than other works. But this is probably the edition you'll want to pick up. And it's told by the entire town as a sort of gossip chorus, looking back on their local mystery woman, Miss Emily. You'll slowly piece together who she was, what happened, and why everybody knows her name. William Faulkner stories, Library of America, or any other good collection that clearly lists A Rose of Emily. I'll link a good option in the description. Coming in at number 9, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty by James Thurber. And this one, it's an ordinary man with an absolutely unhinged imagination, keeps zoning out into daydreams, where he's the hero of everything. It's light, funny, and weirdly relatable if your brain also hits cinematic mode during boring errands. The best version to read is a short story edition of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, or a Thurber collection that includes it. I'll link the bookshop.org pick down in the description below. And last, we have Welcome to the Monkey House by Kurt Vonnegut. Oh, excuse me. And yeah, close my thingy. There we go. Super short, super weird dystopia where everyone is forced to be equal in some very cursed ways. It's quick, hit of sci-fi pulp satire that has big Black Mirror grandfather energy. Best version to read, Welcome to the Monkey House by Kurt Vonnegut, a collection that includes Harrison Bergeron, and the link will be down in the description. So a mini challenge I have for you is pick one of these that I mentioned, read it this week in a single sitting, and then come back and drop the title that you read, how many stars you gave it, and one emoji that matches your emotional damage level. Because I want to know, how emotionally damaged did you become because you read a book? So, we're going to swap out the screen share yet again. Oh no. Sharing. And we're going to go back to our visual aid. So, what a short story isn't, so you know when to be mad. Let's talk about imposters. Times when something is called a short story, but your brain goes, nah. It's not just a scene. The whole piece is 2 people arguing in a kitchen, 5 pages of vibes, and then credits roll. With no real change or payoff, that's probably a vignette, a mood snapshot, not a fully cooked story. Vignettes can be gorgeous, but a short story usually makes you feel like something actually moved. Someone made a choice, someone learned something, or you suddenly see them differently. If you finish and think, that was pretty, but so what? Your brain wanted story, not just aesthetic. So, and we'll do a separate video on vignettes because they do have a place in reading literature. It's not just world building notes. We have 12 kingdoms, 3 moon gods, and a magic tax code. Love that for you, but unless someone is actively living through a problem in the world, that's lore, not story. For a reader's test, if I strip away all the fantasy names, do I still have a person with a problem that goes somewhere? If no, you're reading a setting tour. Cool, just not a short story. It's not automatically chapter 1. You know that feeling when you hit the last line and your soul says, okay, but where's the rest of my book? Did somebody take a pair of scissors and remove the rest of my book? I want it back. That's often a novel opening cosplaying as a short story. A real short story should feel complete on its own. You're allowed to have questions, you're allowed to have an open ending, but it should feel like a particular emotional arc. Finished. Even if your fictional universe continues somewhere else. And more cosplay, it's not an essay. If characters are just standing there holding up cue cards that say theme, you're being lectured, not told a story. Short stories can go deep on ideas and social commentary, but what you feel as a reader is you experience something. The idea arrived through the character's choices. It's not a professor author explaining their take at you for 12 whole pages. Different flavors of short story energy. Uh, when you pick up a short story, it helps to know what kind of emotional snack you've grabbed. A classic short story, this is the Mitty novel experience. You meet a character, something happens, there's a clear sense of shift or revelation by the end. This is perfect for when you want that, yes, a story feeling in under an hour. I'm going to have some coffee because I've been having a coughing fit, coffee. There we go. There, okay, going on to flash fiction. That's under 1,000 words. And again, we'll do, just like vignettes, a separate video on that later. Often 2 to 5 minutes of reading, heavy on implication. This is the expression shot version of tiny, strong, sometimes a little weird. You finish and think, okay, I need a minute to process that. We kind of went over vignettes a little earlier, and they're their slice of life. They focus on the atmosphere, detail, or one tiny moment. Plot, totally optional here. Vibes are mandatory. These are like Polaroids, great if you're in the mood to marinate in a feeling more than following a big plot. Then fables and allegories, simple on the surface, symbolic underneath, often walking around with a moral in their pocket. If you like things that feel a bit like fairy tales for grown-ups, these scratch that itch. And apparently I got a disease because coughing. Genre, short stories. Pick your poison. Horror for quick scares, fantasy for a peek into another world, sci-fi for a little what-if experiments, mystery crime for compact puzzles. They're pretty much an amazing way to test drive a genre or author without adopting a 600-page chunk. Yeah, that's very true. If I hear about an author, I kind of want to look at a shorter version of their work. Now, by doing that, you encounter a couple problems with maybe the author wanted to do an experiment and they did a short story experiment. You don't really get the true essence of the author's writing style because they are experimenting. So if you also do that, keep that in mind that it may not be what you generally would expect from said author. Moving on down, how do you squeeze the maximum joy out of short stories? You don't need a PhD. You don't need a highlighter. You just need a slightly different mindset than you use for novels. One story, one sitting, one possible. Most short stories are built to be swallowed whole. If you take a 20-minute story and read it in 2-minute chunks over a week, it's going to feel weaker than it actually is. When you can, give it one focused chunk of time. Embrace the gaps. Short stories don't have room for full life histories, long explanations, every question answered. That's not a bug, it's a feature. Instead of the author forgot to explain this, try what is the story trusting me to infer? You're allowed to be part of the meaning making process. So you become part of the story. You got to fill in the little gaps and holes yourself. Now, the story is designed to help and aid you in that process by what's going on, but part of it's up to you. Watch the ending. In a novel, the journey is long, so individual moments blur. In a short story, the ending is often the part that reframes everything, makes you rethink earlier lines, or just punches you in the feelings. Doesn't care and just punches you, and it hurts. Pause there, reread the last paragraph, flip back once. It's like watching the twist in a movie and then rewatching the setup. Being a bit confused is fine, actually. Some stories want you to have a slightly off balance, and you don't have to solve them like a puzzle book for your reading to count. If you can say, this is the mood it left me with, or this is the question it made me think about, you've already done the important part. So, we're going to go brief history of short stories. Ultra brief, I promise. Long ago, before TikTok stole our attention, people told short stories out loud. Myths, legends, scary campfire tales. Then once magazines became a thing in the 1800s, editors needed fiction you could read in one sitting, so writers like Poe Maupassant and Chekhov started crafting these compact emotional grenades. Today, short stories live in literary magazines, online journals, and tons of single author collections and anthologies. So the way you read a short story now on your phone, on the train, in between life, on the bus is exactly what they're designed for. Big feelings, small time slots. Yeah, if you ever want to try writing one, so this is going to be a quick detour for the 10% of you whose brain is whispering, could I maybe write one of these? This section's for you. Everyone else, treat this as behind the scenes commentary that makes reading more fun. Here's a simple way writers think about short stories. Start with a moment, not a saga. One decision, one argument, one discovery. That's plenty. Keep the cast tiny. If you need a family tree and world map, you're writing a novel. Give the main character a want or a fear immediately. That's a hook for you as a reader. Oh, that's what's on the line. Aim for a one dominant effect, creepy, bittersweet, hopeful, devastating. Pick your emotional flavor and let everything point toward it. Stress testing the ending. Ask if I chop off the last paragraph, does it still feel finished? If not, you might be stopping too early or too late. Even if you never write a word, knowing this makes you notice cool things when you read, like, oh wow, the whole story is just orbiting this one choice. And why short stories are S tiers for busy readers. Short stories are criminally underrated, especially if you miss reading, but your attention span has been assassinated by social media. You DNF novels constantly, but still want that I finished a thing feeling. You love book clubs, but nobody ever finishes the book on time. You like rereading the catching new layers without scheduling vacation. They are not baby novels. They are their own thing, sharper, tighter, often emotionally louder. Short stories are basically literary espresso shots, small, potent, sometimes a little bitter. Occasionally they make your hand shake, but wow, do they wake something up. Man, I need, like, I don't know, some Benadryl or something. All right, so we're stopping the screen share. So if you made it this far, this is a short summary. A short story is compact but complete narrative you can read in one sitting. Um, it's not just a pretty scene, not just lore, and not automatically chapter one in disguise. It uses the same building blocks as a novel, character setting, plot, conflict, theme, just in a concentrated form. Different flavors. There's flash, vignettes, genre, and fables. They give you a different reading experience. Again, I'll probably do separate videos on those down the road. And when it's done well, 10 pages can hit harder than 500 when it's done well. That's the key takeaway there. If this gave you for a new appreciation for short stories, tap like, subscribe for more book nerd deep dives, and share it with your book club or reading group chat so you can all collectively scream about the same 12-page story next week. And tonight, instead of scrolling for 20 minutes, pick one of these stories from a recommendation list, read it in one go, and then come back and tell us which one you chose, how you rated it, and one emoji that sums up your feelings. Because that's how we express feelings today. Emojis. And again, all the links will be down in the descriptions below. If you like what we're doing here, we're starting a book club through my Patreon. The link for that is also down in the description. I would appreciate you checking it out. We're starting up in January. Yeah, and I think that is going to do it for today, and I hope you liked it, and keep on booking on.